Hey everybody, it's Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Combosin. Welcome to He Said, She Said, They Said, a real discussion on real estate in Victoria. Today I'm here with...
Hi everybody, it's Andrew Plank with LePage. How are you doing today?
I'm well. How are you? I'm switching us around.
Okay, good. I mean, my camera is, that actually works better. Makes it look like I'm looking at you.
So how was your weekend?
Good. Wet. Very, very, very wet. Had a great visit with some friends on Saturday night. Had a pretty busy day Saturday with meetings with clients and making offers and showings and such. And Sunday was a nice, Sunday was a pretty chill day. Yeah.
I can see the weather.
I know. Yeah. That's my weekend. That weather. How about...
Actually, I want to give a shout out to South Island Deck Solutions because we had to have our decks recovered, and this weekend was a test. Previously, the water used to pool in towards the house. Now it's actually going away. So thank goodness. Anyway.
South Island Deck Restoration. I'm making a note of that.
Solutions. Decks Solutions.
Island Deck Solutions.
South Island. All right. So let's see what's happening with the market and if our interpretation.
What happened in the last week? So exciting.
I do find like right now what I'm doing is kind of deferring people to the new year because they have to find a place. Jeez.
Yes.
Okay. So month to date, I'll do the top, you do the bottom.
Okay.
We have 310 unconditional sales halfway through the month. That's compared to 795 last year. For the month of November, 316 new listings compared to 823. So I guess other people have the same idea that to kind of wait. Active listings at 954. Holy smokes.
Wow. Under 1,000. Nuts.
And last year it was 1,800.
Normally we're over 3,000. I mean, other markets were over 3,000.
Okay.
So that is nuts. So these stats, this first column is just month to date, so to November 15th. The second column is for the full month of November, but still, it's not like we're gonna see a whole bunch of active listings coming live in the next little while. People do not tend to do so much business when it's wet and blustery and cold outside.
But that being said, if you want to sell, it's actually a great time if you have to sell because there's so little on the market. So you're just gonna go crazy.
You just referred to, if you have a buyer the seller who wants to buy after they've sold, the advice is probably wait till spring. There'll be more selection, or if you have a place to land in between. But if you don't have a place to go, if you don't need to replace the home you're selling, now is an amazing time to sell. And we don't know what the spring will bring for sure. We can only predict based on past. And we've seen most times it does this and sometimes it does that. So now is an amazing time to sell. Okay, market watch. What happened in the last week? We've had 127 new listings go live. 147 properties went to pending, meaning that people came to unconditional agreement in that period. 18 price decreases, 6 actual price increases. 1 property was off market that came back on market. 166 properties conveyed at the lawyers. And I can't read how many expired, but 6 of them did. Okay, thanks. And 10 were withdrawn.
So actually, interesting comment. I had a friend of mine who's a realtor in the US, and her strategy is to never price low because she doesn't like to have a run on the listings. And so she was actually considering raising the price. And I'm like, I don't think optically that's very good.
Raising the price after, the initial listing, like
she had so much activity. She's like, should I raise the price? And anyway, everybody else in the group, it's a group of Remax realtors all over North America, actually the world. Anyway, and so we said no, because you've set the expectation. And unfortunately, although it's not the strategy normally employed, to stick with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating for buyers when they see a property that they look as accessible, and then it turns out that there's so much activity. It's pretty obviously going to go, 100, 200,000 over asking, sometimes more. And was that a mistake of the agent? Was it a strategy? Was it, instructions from the sellers? What's the purpose of this? And there's lots of different reasons for it. It can be really frustrating, obviously, for buyers. But, the other side of that equation is you list at a price too high or above what the market would tend to bear, and then you get nobody coming through the home.
Right.
And then you have to do a price reduction, and you just don't get the same kind of
Energy.
drive, activity, interest that you could have. So it's a fine line. Yeah.
So what I thought I'd do is our guest today wasn't able to make it, so I thought we could focus on just real estate as a career, because decisions like that, they come with a lot of responsibility. They also come with a lot of experience. And so I thought maybe we could talk about real estate as a career. I don't know about you, but I get asked a lot about becoming. I think it's a compliment that my clients want to become realtors.
Yeah. Well, we tend to see a lot of people dive into real estate when real estate's doing well.
Yeah.
When there's been a banner year, then there's a new crop of agents that come on. And it's kind of like investing. I think a lot of people get into it at the little tail end of when they could have or should have. But there's a lot to consider when you're thinking about becoming a realtor, and it's not as easy as everyone thinks. It's not as lucrative as everyone thinks, and it's not as just turnkey immediately getting in there and making money. So there's probably a lot of things people don't really understand. If you are considering a career in real estate, definitely reach out to Jane or I, or someone you know and trust in the industry. Ask more than one person what their experience has been, what their trajectory and career has been like. And you'll begin to notice, for one, that no two realtors are alike. We're all different, but there are some consistencies probably. Yes, Jane, you and I are very different.
Which is why I wanted to do this with you, because we are so very different. We have a different perspective. I mean, I think we have the same values, but different perspective. So one of the things when we got into real estate, we had an online group where we were talking. That's how I met Chris or Andrew. Chris is my husband.
Chris is her husband. Oh.
And I remember one of the realtors going, "So what kind of watch should I wear?" And I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
But the thing is, they were all concerned about the image of being a realtor, and whether or not they should wear an expensive watch or whatever. And a lot of people were talking about how much money they were going to make. And, when I work with new realtors, they're like, "I want to make $1 million. Well, it's freaking hard work. That being said, I did sell a house my first week in real estate, and I thought, "Oh, this is easy." And
yeah, I was gonna say, does that serve you well to do that? Because that just, sometimes when it comes too easy and then it gets hard, you just don't have the stamina for it. You've obviously done well. So,
but I remember the following year, I think it was March, and I wrote, we were both at Pemberton Homes, and I wrote an email to Mike Holmes, and I'm like, "Oh my God, what are we going to get paid?"
yeah.
Because all my transactions that I was working on were due in July.
Right. So we'll be working oftentimes, let's say it's the spring market, and we're working in the spring market, and it's been a slow winter, and then all of anything we kind of got paid has been sort of paid through in the winter, and then we have to have tightened our belts, let's say. And it's an expensive industry to be in, and the expenses keep going. Even if you're not making money, then you start to ramp up into the spring market. Maybe you help some folks into some homes if you're lucky, help sell a home or two if you're lucky. And then the paychecks may not be coming through till June or July or August. And you're sitting there looking at some money coming in eventually, and you're looking at your money going out so quickly, and you're saying, how do I bridge this gap? And that's a big one.
Yeah. So the truth is, real estate is very, very expensive. I remember, actually, yes, I did sell a house my first week, but I also had to pay for my costs of just getting in. And I
Mhm.
believe I had a debt of about $10,000.
I don't think I listed and sold my first listing until 6 months into my career. You know, and that was, it was helpful to have, my partner had, her own career. We had some money savings. We had equity in our house, and we were able to sort of bridge some time before things kind of ramped up. But it can take a long time. And the challenge is you don't really know if it's for you until you've been in it for a year or two. And then you may have lost a lot of money, or you may have just sort of broken even, but you've been working evenings, weekends, not seeing your children or family or friends, and saying like, this really isn't for me. So it's, very personal. So you had the myth number one, real estate is easy money. Yes. So is it easy money? Truth be
No,
told, sometimes.
it's not, though. It's easy money if you've sown the seed a long time ago, then you reap it later.
So that's farming, and farming is not easy that's long-term thinking, and it's true. It's there's a saying about, success looks like, or, something is hard work. Anyway, I know, thanks for the look. There's a quote out there just that says something to the effect of, luck is,
Oh, yes.
yeah, luck is
Yeah,
hard work.
recognizing opportunity.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
it's true.
long term, yes, eventually, if you plant seeds, if you do the due diligence, then you get paid for the time and effort that you put in before. And at the time, in the moment, it looks like it's easy for you, but you've already done all that work. You've preloaded it. And that's where it's really not easy work.
Right.
But eventually things get easier because you've laid down the groundwork, and you've made the relationships, and you've been in the business long enough.
So the second myth is real estate is a plug and play business, basically. And I felt like this when I remember going on a vacation, and we were sailing around the Gulf Islands, and we had pagers, and I kept looking at my pager expecting a call.
Right.
Well, I don't think I'd told anybody I was in real estate yet.
I had a pager too. That's so cute. Yeah, when we were first licensed, we had pagers.
I
And I
was
had
like Gilbert. I had like my pager, my lockbox opener, my cell phone.
there was a colleague that we have a mutual colleague from Pembroke Homes, and I remember him telling me stories about before the days of having a cell phone, but he did have a pager, and so he would get a page from the office, and then he always had a pocket full of quarters, and he would go to a payphone and call back to the office to get his messages, and then make the calls.
Was that Kent?
Yes, it was Kent.
Well,
Yeah.
the other thing is email. Same thing with email. We used to have to go to the office to check our email. And I remember when cell phones, remember the Palm Pilot, and it came
Yes.
out, and we were like going to the office and checking our email, and then all of a sudden email started to become available on our cell phones. And everyone's phone was like bing, bing, bing. I was like, oh my God, I got to stop working here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Real estate, myth number 2, real estate is a plug and play business.
Right. So, no, I mean, can you just sort of jump in with a bunch of systems and get going? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think there's something to be said, and I really wish that I had gone with the team. I had actually tried to go with the team at the beginning. I contacted Tim Taddy and Marco and Flood, and I asked them, can I work for you? And they're like, we don't work with new realtors. So anyway, I had worked in law, so I found a lot of when I was legal secretary, a lot of the systems that I had.
The happy face.
Laughing.
Yeah. That's Mark.
Is it?
I don't know.
Some of the systems I had were like transferable. So, I realized all of a sudden that things I was doing more than once, I would start to create a system around. But I didn't know how to get a lead. I just did open houses like crazy. And I went to business networking events all the time. And I was just like, I'm a realtor. And rather, what I tell people now is what's your passion? Follow your passion.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I find a lot of people get into this business and they don't understand. And this is, I think, one of our other points here, but they don't understand that the brokerages aren't hiring you. And so when you go to a brokerage, you kind of have to discover for yourself what you're doing and how to do it. And they may give you some tools and advice and suggestions, but you don't just jump into a system that you just plug into. You often have to create your own wheel. And so most brokerages will not provide those kind of supports, or if they do provide supports, they're not as in depth as you would want or expect to give you success. And as a new agent, I mean, the more experienced agents really do notice young, whether you're coming into the business at 50 or 70 or 20, we notice people who come into the business who are keen and intelligent and have, a good head on their shoulders. And we might be noticing that as a potential future partner or assistant, like a buyer's agent or someone to collaborate.
Mentor. Yeah.
To mentor. Yes. But you get out what you put in. Absolutely.
Yes. So I would say, you really want to hang around with people who have positive energy, because you're going to attract the ideal client. And I used to think that was all about woohoo. Then I didn't belong to the woohoo crew, but I totally see that. Yeah.
The woohoo crew.
The woohoo
No, it's
crew.
true. It's true. If you go into the office, and some offices have an energy that is just very down or negative.
Yeah.
And much of my career, I've found that I just would rather not go to the office. I'd rather work from home. I'd rather surround myself with my own. I have some great colleagues that I work with, but we'll go for coffee. We'll go for meetings. I go to sales meetings. I'm not going to spend all the day at the office amongst people who may not be that
Bring me up.
motivated. Yeah.
Okay, which brings me to point number 3. Real estate is social. That is such a myth.
So explain.
So
I don't know if I fully disagree. I fully agree, but I guess it depends on the definition.
Well, I think that when we are at the office or when we're maybe at a party, that we are very social people, but all we talk about is real estate. We don't go, hi, how are your kids? You're like,
Right.
What do you get to sell? It's all about the business. But most of the time, I would say we are alone in our car, traveling around or working on our business. And I don't go into the office and chat with people like I did when I was in government or as a teacher. It's like focus.
So when you say real estate is social, I mean real estate is social amongst our colleagues, not
just that it's you must meet tons of people every day. And I look at lots of properties, but usually I'm like 1 client, 3 properties, 1 client,
right.
2 properties, 1 client,
right.
And I'm the one traveling around.
Right. We talk about the real estate cycle where, you don't have a lot of business and you go out and you meet some people and you build up your pipeline of people that you're working with. And then you get so busy, you don't have time to do anything else but service those people. And so you've got these peaks and valleys of activity. And, that's kind of where, at half the time you're just head down, trying to serve the people that you're working for, help, promote your listings, go show properties, negotiate. And you're too busy to really concentrate or have time even to go socialize with friends or what have you.
Anybody who's got a friend who's a realtor knows that when you're at a dinner party, that person may leave and go to the bathroom and they're really on their phone.
Yeah. Or they may step out, or they may have to leave early, or they will definitely arrive late, or it's very hard as a real estate agent to have a consistent routine. But, some of that's discipline and some of that is turning off your phone from time to time. And I would argue that real estate can be social if you let it, but you have to, that's where that plug and play, that having systems and having balance and being able to find supports so that you can go out, meeting people is how we do business. And Jane and I are not super social people. Here we are doing, something that's really scary for people, doing a public speaking, you might say, But I don't think either of us sort of came from that. It's something we've had to kind of grow into on ourselves. And, get me in a room of people, and I'm definitely not the person who is, the king of the party or whatever. I'm going to be probably in the corner eating some cake.
I find realtors are like they're social together, but it's because they haven't we rarely see one another. Like Andrew and I have seen each other once in 2 years.
In
right?
person. Yeah.
In person.
Yeah.
And generally, actually, realtors, we don't meet each other hardly at all anymore. We used to do tours once a week, and we do different tours, different places, and you'd meet realtors on the tours. And now, for instance, if we're in a listing and I've just finished showing, it happened yesterday, a lady's like, "Oh, hi." And I was like, "Hi, I don't know who you are. Show me your card before I give you the key to the house."
Right. Yeah. Show me the 10-year-old photo. Oh yeah, that's the person I remember.
Yeah, and so it's social because we're coming together, but it's business focus. I find there are uh people who do open houses for realtors to bring them in, and it's considered to be social, but really what they're doing is they're inviting them in to see the house because people sell businesses or sell homes that they like or have been in.
The thing is, I think there are agents who are generally good at being social and bringing people together, and then they do create events or host events that create that social environment that can help to do business. But there's other agents who are not social at all, very business minded, and they can do other things that bring in people. So there's kind of like so many different ways to skin a cat in this business that whether you're social or antisocial, you will find your niche if there's some other elements that you have, and you have the staying power to stick in this business and the wherewithal. And I think that this is not a business for someone to get in and out on the short term. This isn't a business for people who think short term of let's just make a bunch of money and not worry about our clients. They will not last long in this business, both because whether you're a social realtor or an unsocial realtor, who you're doing business with when you get into this business, you have to do business with these people over years. And so it's not just about building relationships with clients. It is about building relationships with your colleagues. Whether you're social or not, it's about trust. And
it's all about trust.
Yes. So you can be antisocial, but I can still trust you. You can be very social, lovable rogue, you might say, but I don't trust you. It's going to be difficult for me to do business with you.
Yeah, Andrew. Well, it is, and that speaks that to another point we're going to talk to later. We'll come to it, but the point is actually the other sort of myth is that the company hires us to be a realtor. And when I was working with Pemberton Homes and I moved to Remax, people are like, "Oh, you got a raise. You went to a better company." And I'm like, I went to a different company, but actually the truth is that we hire the company. So we look around to see what the company is all about. That's one thing when people are coming in. How do you get paid? What do you do? One of the things that was of interest to me is what is the philanthropy in our company? What is the training in our company? What is the support we're going to get in our company? And so I interviewed different brokers. So these are important questions if you want to be a realtor to ask yourself when you go to the interview is like, do my values fit in with the values of the company?
Right. And who are the other realtors in this company? Will your values align with them? Will you be feeling like you can learn? Will they be helpful? And can you learn from them? Will you be part of a community of realtors in that company? But the thing a lot of people don't understand, like you said, is the company doesn't hire you. They will vet. Some companies do some vetting.
We do.
But for the most part, the companies hire you, and their business model is around getting bums in seats. In other words, they're going to make a commission off, they're going to make money off of either you every month paying that company a certain number of hundreds of dollars, or they're going to take a percentage of your transactions every time you do a transaction. And that's how they're making money. And so the more realtors they have, the better quality realtor in terms of sales numbers they have, or in terms of, at some agencies I've been at, there's agents who don't make a lot of money. They're kind of a hobby realtor, but they pay their money every month consistently, right?
Yeah.
Whether because they've chosen a model where they're just paying a monthly fee. But this company's making money off of you. And so you're interviewing based on, okay, if I'm going to give you this money, what am I going to get for it? And Jane and I have both made decisions to go to brokerages where we pay more money, but we feel like we get more from them.
I paid more money when I worked at Pemberton Homes because my per transaction deal was higher at Pemberton Homes because more people at that point, I'm not sure what the deal is now, but more people at that point were doing less transactions there. So then when I went to a brokerage where I do more transactions, it's actually less money per transaction, but more upfront.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, and there's often hidden fees too. So you do want to just check it all out and and map it out. And talk to your colleagues again at those different brokerages and say, what's your experience at this brokerage if you're considering a specific one?
I've got another myth, but anyway, okay.
Well, do you want to add it in as like 5 point? Yeah.
Okay. Okay, the next one is, well, we're sort of just got to this. What is the cost of being a realtor?
Well, your relationships, it'll cost you your relationships. It'll cost you your health. It'll cost you sleep. It'll cost, oh, you mean money?
Well, those are really great points because, I mean, there are some memes out there about having dinner with a realtor. And actually, I was at dinner the other night, a special dinner, and I was the only one who wasn't on my phone. But normally I'm the one who's like in the middle of dinner texting or something.
I feel like I need a detox from my phone. I'm going to try and get away next weekend, actually, and I really want to be able to put my phone down.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, there are costs, financial costs to being a realtor. We can start with that. And, you know, we already touched on one is the paying your brokerage. The other is going to be paying your real estate board fees, which are not, they add up. And then you've got your insurance fees, your fees to your council licensing fees. You get nickeled and dimed in this business, and these fees sometimes it's like your car insurance, whether you pay it monthly or you pay it annually. But you know, if you're paying it annually, and a lot of these fees, some of these fees come up every couple of years, and it's out of the blue, and you think you're getting ahead, and then suddenly you've got to pay some money to your licensing fees or what have you. And then of course there's the cost to market your properties. If you're going to do well, you've got to do a lot to market. Yeah, Jane.
So I always say that, you know, we're always negotiating two things. One is time and the other is money. So if you want to save time, you can hire somebody. And so it costs you money. So, you know, when we both got into real estate, I'm pretty sure we were both doing our own real estate photography. And then we hire people because now we don't have time for that. Or, you know, like the floor plan person, we hire somebody because it's less time than us measuring. And so you start to begin to realize that you build a team of people around you to help you with your business, to get you to be more effective, who are specialists in their field. But the cost is financial. Like working with a buyer takes more time. Working with the seller takes more money. So you can have a lot of listings. It's going to be really expensive. And so what you try and do as you become more and more productive as a realtor, you start to really hone your costs and look at ROI. I do. and we're always trying to figure out, like, I'm always trying to figure out what's the next step that's going to grow my business.
Right. I mean, there are realtors out there, you'll see their names in lights, advertising everywhere. And when I look at marketing a home, and Jane as well, I think, we're considering what's their cost to market this home and how do we promote it as best as possible. And yet at the same time, not end up having it cost us more than we're charging in commission. But then at the same time, how much is this self-promotion as well? And a lot of realtors are, doing a lot of self-promotion out there. How much business do you have to do to cover that self-promotion? When you see, I'm not going to name any names, but when you see, you could probably think in your head of 3 to 5 agents off the top of your head because you've seen their marketing everywhere. But then how many transactions do they have to do per month just to pay for, $10, $15, $20,000 monthly advertising fees? That's a lot of work you've got to do. Whereas,
yeah, so one of the things when I got started was I realized pretty soon that if I started advertising my properties and I spent $27,000 my first full year in real estate, marketing properties in Real Estate Victoria magazine. And then I realized I think I got one lead out of it. And so it was good for branding. So some things are good for awareness, and people thought I'd been in the business a long time because they saw my name a lot of places. But I realized I wanted to be more a storyteller type realtor, where I focused on here's like the educational side, and then now it's all about the client experience. So it's what do my clients say about working with me? And it's not about my perspective, it's about their perspective. And I think that a lot of realtors, like when I see bus ads where, hire me to sell your home, I think you're missing the point of being a realtor. I think that the point is, what is the experience you're going to get working with that person? The testimonial would work way better.
We just talked about, are you getting into this business to make a lot of money? Or are you getting into this business to build a career, I guess? And there was an agent a number of years ago, really, good agent, but new in the career. And I think if you're going to advertise, and they advertised everywhere, and blanketed marketing everywhere, and then became quite a successful realtor as a result of that. I think if you're going to advertise like in a magazine here or a bus stop there and do a little bit here and there, you're not going to get yourself seen. If you blanket it all, you're going to get seen, and you might boost your career right off the bat, but you need to have really, really deep pockets to get that started. And it's a huge risk. And you also don't have the experience to back it up to, if you do get busy, how do you manage or handle that? Or how do you give good service or help create a good contract? So that can be pretty difficult. It's an expensive business. It's a really expensive business. And again, if you're getting into it, expect to work for 6 months to a year before you're kind of even seeing you making any money. And it might be 2 or 3 years before you're kind of feeling like, I think I was almost 10 years into my career before I really felt like I knew what I was doing. It's such a complex business.
But you know what? You're very self-aware, and maybe other people aren't. Like, I've found one of the things you have to be careful. Jim Reslin used to say this. I thought it was so true. You do well, you get fat and sassy. And then you don't do well because you're fat and sassy. So you have to be very humble, I think. And so that brings us to the point of if you know a lot of people, you're assuming that you're going to do well in real estate. What do you think about that?
I think knowing a lot of people is different than a lot of people knowing and trusting that you can help them and be competent and knowledgeable in your career. And so just knowing a lot of people, and even if you were let's say you were a lawyer or working in banking or something that you might say is somewhere related, or you were there's a lot of people going to real estate that have some career in construction or house, something related to housing. And they think, well, people will trust that I know what I'm doing with real estate. But they're going to look at you as they know you as a person. They're going to look at you as they see you taking your career, how seriously you take your career. How do they know? I mean, if I go to a social gathering or party, I'm not going to be getting blackout drunk and you're being observed at all times in this career, and whether you're kind of on or off, you're always looked at as being on.
Yeah,
You can have the time off, and people don't expect you to be perfect all the time, but
it's like being a freaking politician.
yeah, somewhat.
Well,
Yeah.
you're representing your community.
Yeah. And
people
so
are associating with you, right?
And there are politicians who are trusted, and there are politicians who are in and out of being a politician pretty quick. So just because you know a lot of people doesn't make you successful, and just because you don't know anyone doesn't mean you can't be successful.
I agree with that, because when I got into real estate, I had only been living in Victoria for about 6 years.
Yeah.
So, but
you've even chosen the name of for your company based on a hill in Ontario.
Based on a street and community.
A community in Ontario. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there must be a hill.
Briar Hill was the street beside the street that I grew up on. And
yes.
It's amazing how many people come from Toronto who know Briar Hill or who've lived there. And there's also an area in Calgary called Briar Hill.
Why not call it the street you grew up on group? What was the street you grew up on?
Courtly. No one would spell it.
The Courtly group. That sounds good.
Courtly.
Mine would be the Salish group if I did this. That was the street I grew up on.
I think that's a good name, actually.
Actually, it's not bad. I might take that.
Okay. This is the next myth. All realtors are salesy. I think we definitely don't fall into that category, but I have been told I can be salesy.
I think we all fall into that at some point. We're in sales. So, and I definitely want clients to make their own decisions, but at some point we both probably, I think, come to the point where we have to get a little salesy with people, but we're not salesy in the sense of, we're not salesy like
we don't have commission, Brad.
Right. I think there's something to be said for when you get to a point in your career, or whether you're new or experienced in the career, if you're not focused on how much money you're going to make from someone, you're not seeing everyone with a dollar symbol above their head, and you're just seeing people as people, then you're solving problems for people, and that's what Jane and I both do. And as a result, there is a commission at the end of the day, but we both trust that by helping people in the best manner we can to solve their problems, that we will be supported by supporting others.
Right.
So, yeah.
You have to be focused on a great realtor is focused on the person and the outcomes, not making the sale.
And again, I have seen realtors come into this business and but the ones that I've seen even come in for a short time and do a lot of business, they're often really good with people in terms of being focused on the people and not on the commissions. And
many realtors come from service industry.
Yeah, it's hard for a young person, and Jane and I mean, remember Paul Butler, great young guy. He was one of the youngest people that we knew getting into the real estate career. He was 19, I think, when he got his license, and he struggled a lot, not because he wasn't a good guy, but because he had such a young face, and so people didn't trust his experience. And also so he had to sort of come up with some strategies, and, should he drive the nice car? Should he, wear the nice watch? And it can be hard getting into this business as a young person too, because you see what we see as what we might consider not a big payday. They would consider a very large payday when they're not taking into account all the costs and everything. And so they see these younger people see, I think, some of the money that gets moved around in real estate, and see it as, well, that's big money I'm making, and they don't see the other side of it, where they're paying off the expenses or the long term of the ebbs and flows of real estate markets and things.
One of the things that I've noticed is, people, a few things. When people say, "What's the value of this place?" And I'm like, I need to go and look at the statistics. I've learned never to say anything off the cuff anymore, because then I'll be held to it.
Right.
So, but
right. And a new agent really wants to feel like they want to think that people think they're knowledgeable, so they want to be able to give answers right away. And sometimes they're shooting from the hip with answers they shouldn't give.
Well, also, I think it's so when you're asked, what is a place worth, you have to do your research. It has to be based on fact. And just understand, like, in a rising market, there really aren't any comps because it's rising. And same thing with the falling market. And so only in a balanced market can you really probably say, astutely right off the bat, here's the value of your place. But the other thing is there's a lot of experience going into that, saying, what is this house worth? Because we look at what are our client experiences. So for instance, if this place has one parking garage versus two, how much is that really worth to a sale? Where the location is close to the highway, how much does that impact? Where the layout doesn't have 3 bedrooms on one level, how much does that impact? So, there's a lot of experience that goes into the valuation. And to expect somebody to come off right off the bat with a number is not realistic. But the other thing is just to respect somebody, that if you're asking for their advice, it's like Picasso, when he was asked to draw a picture of a fish, he drew a picture of a fish. And the lady's like, well, why would I pay so much money for that picture of the fish? Well, lady, I have been drawing this for 50 years, right? And we've both been in business for like 16 years now.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah. So it's the whole idea of knowing where to tap. That's the analogy I give with the, BC Ferries is, BC Ferries breaks down, and they call in an engineer to have a look at the ferry, and they're missing sailings and so forth and losing a lot of money. Fly an engineer in, helicopter man, I don't know, drop him on a rope, goes down, looks at the boiler room, asks a number of questions of the different workers there, pulls out, goes over to a little section, pulls a little ball peen hammer and taps, and the engines start running, and BC Ferries gets back on its track. And then he gets a call from the accounting department sometime later saying, like, we've got this bill from you for $2,000. Why can you tell, you just pulled out a hammer and tapped. Why you were there for 5 minutes? Why do you get paid $2,000? Give us an itemized bill, please. So he resent his bill in, said, tapping with ball peen hammer, $1, knowing where to tap, 1,999. Like, this is the thing, with experience comes this knowledge, and with it may look like you're not doing much, but what you're hiring is this consultant fees, is this experience, this is what we're going to pull together. In one of my listing presentations, I have an exploded diagram of a camera, showing all the parts of a camera, gears and mechanisms and lenses, and it's all in a pile versus an actual camera put together. You're not just hiring, you're not just buying all these pieces, you're buying them put together into a system.
Right. And so that actually goes to the next one, that all realtors are the same, and which is totally different, because you're to me, when people talk about working with a realtor, I say it's the good analogy is dating. And so, we have a relationship with you, and our expectation is trusting one another. So I trust, that I give you advice, that you're going to follow the advice, and that we're going to work together and stuff. And when it comes to going to the prom, that we're going to go together, and I'm going to be your date. But
if you don't feel the trust, if you feel like this buyer that you're working with is shopping around and playing the field, you're not going to invest a lot of you're not going to invest your heart in this, or you're really not going to want to spend time with this person.
Yeah.
But
when somebody says to me, can you keep an eye out for interesting properties?
right.
I'm like, well, what do you define as interesting? What are you really looking for? What's your budget? Tell me what you're going to use this property for. Like we get that all the time, and people think they're doing us a favor, but it's so unfocused. And so it's kind of like, can you find me a boyfriend?
Yeah. I mean, there's a misunderstanding out there that there's a best agent in Victoria kind of thing. Like, I want to hire the best agent in Victoria. And no, there's no best agent in Victoria. There's the best agent for you, perhaps, right? And that best agent is going to be somebody with knowledge, experience, success. But at the same time, you're going to have that mutual trust experience, and they're going to really understand your needs, and they're going to work well with you. Some people don't communicate. I've had conversations with great people where my communication style is different than theirs, and we don't align, right? And Jane does some teaching in conversation styles, and yes, you can listen to and interpret and understand. But if you're not just at your core on the same playing field, or maybe there's different moral structure. Someone says, go find me a great deal of, I can buy a home for a great price from a little old lady. You might be like, we're not going to be working so well together. I don't really feel like your morals align with mine. So you're going to try to find the realtor that aligns with your morals, but also that it can be successful for you.
Well, the values.
Yeah.
Values.
Okay.
So actually, and this is not the reason why we did this talk. We did this talk because we thought we get a lot of inquiries about people who want to be realtors. But I am doing a talk to RE/MAX Europe on December 7th, and I'm just going to put in the details here at 6 a.m.
6 a.m.?
Yep. So if you want to join, you're welcome to. The focus will be on creating community and how to be more effective in your marketing and advertising.
Okay.
All right.
And you can probably ask Jane about real estate careers then,
if you want.
Yeah.
I think people who will be coming to this meeting will already be realtors. So
if you are out there and you're thinking about getting started in real estate, a career in real estate, call up Jane or I or a friend that's in real estate, take them out for coffee or lunch and pick their brain and ask them lots of questions and ask them for really clear feedback based on their knowledge of who you are. When I first got licensed, when I was thinking of getting licensed, there was a test you could take that the BC Real Estate Association put out, and it would grade you in terms of your chances of being successful in a career in real estate. 15 years later, I would say I've been successful in real estate. Has it been easy? No, but it's been rewarding, and it's been a growth experience and everything. I think it gave me a 15% chance of success because I was not, at the time, I didn't really feel that like I was an outgoing person. I would rather be at home reading a book than going out socializing with a bunch of people I didn't know. So, it can work. And this career is always changing, and what it needs is always changing.
That's
and
funny.
It needs you. It needs good people.
I got into real estate because I just thought I didn't have the greatest experience, and I wanted to provide a better one. And I just felt like I could, it's funny because being an entrepreneur was not well respected in my family, and nobody in my family was an entrepreneur before my current generation.
Mm-hmm.
And when I gave up 7 years of education to become a realtor.
Right.
I didn't look at it that way, but my family was very negative about that, especially my dad and my mom.
Right.
they're like, you're giving up your teaching career and you have, safety and that's the definition of an entrepreneur, right? Going to work every day, doing what you love and getting paid nothing. So,
Yeah.
uh,
You can't
but
continue in a career that you're not enjoying, even if you spent invested a lot of time in schooling and so forth. You need to reinvent yourself and find a way to make something work. And you are a teacher. You are and always have been a teacher. It's just how you've applied that teaching experience and all of the things you learned. I'm sure much of it you have applied to this current career and has served you.
yeah, and I think a lot of things, I would say probably the biggest myth is that it's all about the money, and the reality is it's all about the people.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is. So there you go.
All right, so we're going to be on next week. I had a message. Hopefully our guest from this week will be next week. We'll let you know.
Okay.
We'll
They forgot.
figure it out on Monday at 9 a.m.
All right. 10 a.m.
All right, have a good week, Andrew. And hopefully November continues to be successful, whatever that means.
Stay dry out there, folks.
Okay, so how do people get in touch with you?
They can reach me by email, info@andrewplank.com, or call me at 250-360-6106. You can check out more information about myself at andrewplank.com. There's a bio page and other stuff. Jane, how about yourself?
My name is Jane Johnston. I'm with the Briar Hill Group, a very nice street in Toronto and neighborhood in Calgary. My number is 250-744-0775. You can reach me at briarhillgroup@gmail.com. And we have two websites. One's briarhillgroup.com. That's all about buying and selling real estate. And then Vancouver Island Time, where we talk about neighborhoods. And we also house these videos. All right. Don't forget, by the way, I forgot to subscribe. Boom.
Subscribe now. Don't miss
Have a
an
good week.
episode. Tune in next week. Okay, thanks everybody for watching.
Yeah,
Jane,
see you next Monday.
as always.
Bye.
Bye.